What if for one part of the service, none of the screens that you have external to ProPresenter are all that helpful to you? But what if for another part of the service, they absolutely are? Can you change the preview screen in the upper right hand corner automatically so that you don't have to think about it during the service? Well, actually you can. So stick around and I'll show you how. Presented by Church Tech U, it's the ProPresenter Show. On today's show, how to automatically change the preview screen in the upper right hand corner of ProPresenter, just so that it's the most helpful it absolutely can be for you. Hi, and welcome again to the ProPresenter Show. This is the show where I teach all about ProPresenter. My name's Paul Allen Clifford. And before we get started, if you've ever had a situation where the preview screen wasn't as helpful as it could have been, and you really wanted it to be able to change automatically between multiple screens or maybe layouts or what have you, go ahead and tell me about it in the comments below. So this actually is something that I dealt with just this past Sunday in my church. So some of our songs, in addition to having lyrics, have scripture underneath it. I'm a big fan of scripture. I am. But sometimes, I don't know, I haven't been diagnosed, but you might, from watching these videos, you might think that perhaps Paul has at least a little touch of ADD or ADHD. And I might. I don't know. I'm not saying one way or the other. I'm just saying that sometimes I have difficulty concentrating on certain things. So I need to pay attention to the lyrics themselves and not the scripture. So what I do was I made a preview screen for myself that would only show the 2 lines of lyrics during the worship portion of the service. And then we got to the sermon. And when we got to the sermon, it was much larger. So I had a problem. It was showing only part of the sermon slide. So how did I get around it? Well, there are a couple of ways. Absolutely, you can select a different preview screen. That's fine. But I wanted it to all happen automatically so that I didn't have to think about it. So let me show you what I came up with. So let's say that it's something like this, where I have these 2 lines right here. And that's all I want to see. I don't want to see this stuff down here. I don't want to see the CCLI information up here. I just want to see that, because that's all I need to pay attention to, is these 2 lines. So I want to ignore the rest of this, and I know that sometimes I don't do that very well. So I want to set myself up for success. And so one thing that I could do is I could make a stage screen layout that only shows this particular text box. So let's right click and edit this slide. And notice the text box, when I select it, is called text, capital T-E-X-T. So if I go over here to my stage screen editor, called the stage editor, and I create a new blank stage screen here, I can add a text box right here. And here, let me hide myself. And what I can put in that text box is I can link it to the current slide, the text of the current slide, or I can match the element name, and this is where it comes in. And so remember, the text box was called capital T-E-X-T. That's exactly what I'm going to do. So let's go back here to show mode. And now I'm just going to pick a stage screen that I can put that on. I'm not using stage screen 1. So right now it looks like this. Let me instead go to this layout that I made, and notice it looks it's like the stripped down version of this. So I can change to that using an action, right click, add the action, select stage, and for stage screen 1 I can select that layout, and so as soon as I go to that slide the first time, it changes to what it needs to be. Now when I go down to, let's say, the sermon, so let's go down here, let's see here, just a second here. I have way too many things in here, so you probably saw it just a second ago and I missed it. Okay, right here at the top. That's why it's in the wrong place. So what I can do there is right click on this, add an action. I can do that with the macro as well. Add an action and then go to your stage. And for this one, on the exact same thing, I'm going to do an audience mirror, which I set up earlier. And so now, as soon as I get to this, it should show me exactly what is on the screen that the audience is seeing, the congregation. So, going back to that song, I click here, it goes back to this, I go back to the sermon, click on that slide, and it goes back to the way that it was. So that is how I can do that to make it just automatically change. When I click the appropriate slide, it changes the preview so that I know exactly what I need to know as an operator automatically. I don't have to be distracted by additional stuff. I don't have to worry about switching between these so that I get the optimal view, and then I'm just good to go. So that's how to do all of that. If you want a step-by-step guide on how to do this, I'm going to make a automatically change the operator screen cheat sheet. So head on over to tdm.fyi/pro-gifts and select the automatically change the operator screen cheat sheet. Give me your name and email address and I'll send that to you for free. Till next time, this is Paul Allen Clifford from TrinityDigitalMedia.com and ChurchTechU.com, reminding you to go out and change eternity.